Welcome back to the VoIP panel series. In this video, I'm going to go through tariffs, creating tariffs, exporting tariffs, copying and importing them. It's really simple. You do everything from the billing tariff section. The tariffs are, there's three types of tariffs on the system. The one is the provider tariff, in other words, your costs. In the previous video, we imported your costs. I'll show you once we've finished the tariffs on why that is very useful for you to see. The next one is the user tariffs, and they come in two versions, retail tariffs and wholesale tariffs. I would always recommend that you use wholesale tariffs for the simple reason wholesale tariffs you can do an import from CSV. So in other words, you can manipulate in Excel, export it in Excel to a CSV and import it back into the system. Where retail tariffs you cannot import from a CSV file, and they are very cumbersome to work with. You've got to edit each tariff one by one by one. Let me show you that very quickly. If we go to use our costs, so this is why one of the reasons why having a cost under providers is so useful. You can very easily go into the two options here, make a user tariff or make a wholesale tariff. It's like we did in the first video when we made a wholesale tariff. I'm just going to make a user tariff now, and it will ask me how much do we want to mark it up. So I'm going to say, for example, mark this up 20%. And we're going to make the tariff. And remember, it's a user tariff. It will name it automatically by default cost plus whatever percentage or values you put in here. You then would go and rename it. And once it's renamed, you could then use it. But in this case, I just want to show you how cumbersome retail tariffs are for the users. So here's that new tariff we've created. See, there's no import option here. You do have the option to export it though, but you can't import and overwrite one. If you wanted to amend a tariff, a rate for a destination, you would have to go into rates. Then it would show you all the rates. So you would go, for example, let's go change for South Africa Vodacom and I need prefix 82. Remember, it's all prefix generated. So we're going to go find South Africa Vodacom 2782. You've got the rate here. You could then change the rate 22 cents and update it. But Vodacom doesn't only have that rate. Vodacom has 30, 40, 50 prefixes. You would have to go and do that one by one by one. As such, I would recommend not doing that. Okay, so editing tariffs manually is a pain. It's way simpler to import them into Excel, edit them there, and then import them back into the system. So if we do that, let me show you that. Let's delete this retail tariff because it's not really functional. What you would normally do is create a tariff or copy a tariff. So in this case, in the previous video, we copied the cost tariff using make wholesale tariff, which then created us a tariff down here that we renamed to be the default user tariff. And then we imported the rates into that, or we used the rates that the system created. But you could create a new tariff, and we'll just call this demo end user. And we'll make this as a wholesale tariff. And this has no rates in it. At that point, we can import some rates. So let's get a rate sheet in here. So we're just going to import the rates. And you'd go browse. And I've got the demo reseller rates here, which is actually the cost price. But let's actually do a little bit more intelligence here and grab that rates, and let's manipulate it with Excel first. So in Excel, we just expand this so we can see it all. So in Excel, you'll see it's got a cost rate and a selling rate. I'm going to create, I'm just going to take that, delete that. So the selling rate, and I'm going to say, let's mark this up, for example. Let's take this rate, and we're going to mark it up 30%, for example. So we equal that times by 1.30, that's a 30%. Expand that all the way to the bottom, and end that. There we go. So we've got 96,000 rates here, and we're going to make that the new selling rate. I'm going to copy this column into that column, paste it as values, and then delete these other two columns. So now we've got a description, destination. Okay, so now we've got a country, a destination, a prefix, and a selling rate. If we now go close that, we don't need it. Just going to save. I think I might have just saved over it. Let's just double check. It's very simple though. We should have renamed this first. No, this is correct. Okay. Let me close this. Okay. We're then going to browse. So from the system, we're going to import these rates. We're going to browse it. Upload the file. It will take us to the column assignment, and in the column assignment, it would have picked up a couple of things. Rate, you see it hasn't because we don't have it in the system as rate. We've got it as selling rate. So we just remap it. So we get the prefix, the selling rate, and the destination. That's all we need. We assign those columns, it then gives us a sample of the output. So we're going to get, and by default, the system brought it in with today's date and time. We're going to confirm those columns. And now it's going to do an analysis of everything, verify, and then we go proceed to actually do the import. Now it's done it. So if we go back to the tariffs, you'll see now in the end user rate, we've now got those tariffs. Now what is very useful is we imported the costs and we've got two rates. Now if you want to compare rates, under the statistics menu, you can go search. And then you can search for a number. So if you want to go search for anything to Vodacom, for example, 2782. So immediately it shows you your provider rate. Your cost price was 14 cents. Oops, clicked on it. Let me just go, don't click on it. Our default user rate sheet that we used earlier, which had a 20% markup, has become 0.168. And the other one that we imported, where we did from Excel, with a 30% markup, has become 0.182. You can put in full numbers here. So you see this is cell C, 18 cents is your cost. Default 21.6, but the demo end user is 23.4 cents. You can put a full number, and you'll see it rounds, it works it out to the nearest, so it's still on the 2784. If we try, for example, some of the Telkom Mobile, I think they were 69, 1, 2, 3. No, that's not Telkom Mobile, but it gives you the idea still, because it's 18 cents cost price, and there are two rates that we created have different figures. We can now go back to tariffs. So under tariffs, I've shown you very quickly how you can manipulate something, but if you've got a tariff sheet that we've marked up, you can export it by clicking on the export option. It will export it to your PC, to your downloads folder most probably, and you will be able to then manipulate it. So there we go, it's downloading at the moment, demo end user. So I can go now and grab that file. So there it's appeared now, and we can go and edit and manipulate this in Excel. It's a CSV file, so it should immediately come through in the correct format. You'll notice it brings in more columns. You can drop the columns that you don't need. The important one is the destination, the prefix, and the selling rate. The other columns you don't need, so we can drop those off. You can then go and manipulate these rates as you want and save it on your PC as a CSV file and then re-import them. When you re-import them, the system will, so if you go import new rates, remember the system will, for example, let's just re-import these. They're the same, but we re-import them. It will automatically default to the current date and time. So the default had become now, which means previous rates that match this prefix will expire 1 second before this. New rates kick in at this time. You can pre-import rates if you know there's an increase or you want to make a change on the 1st of next month, for example, by just manipulating the dates and then working your way through the wizard where you assign the columns, verify it, analyze it, and then it imports it. At any moment in time, you can copy a rate sheet by literally just going make a wholesale tariff. It will then give you the options to copy. You can mark it up, or if you don't want to mark it up, just put 0 in it. Copy it, and then you can do whatever you want. It will come in as a new wholesale tariff sheet and apply it. And just to show you, the wholesale tariff sheets are still available to users, even though it's not a retail tariff sheet, because when you create a user, you choose, and it will show you retail tariff sheets and wholesale, and you just choose the one that applies. Very, very straightforward. In the next video, we're going to create the customers, set their limits. I'll discuss the fraud features and blocking features. See you in the next one.